Alright, what's up everyone? Today we're going to break down these masteries and what is good, what is not good, how you should build certain champions. I was just actually in the process of building Elhane. Yep, she's only level 50. Kale was my starter champion. I did get Elhane. I haven't really built her at all, but I do know that she can be strong, especially for Doom Tower. You got to build some awkward champions that you may never use anywhere else. For Doom Tower special rooms, especially hard, and she's one of them. So I just actually started farming some scrolls for her, and was just building her masteries, and I'm just going to break down which masteries you should do for different types of champions and why. Alrighty, so, and hopefully that helps you, because I do get a ton of questions on how'd you build your masteries? What kind of masteries? What tiers did you get? What tier 6 did you get? That sort of thing. And it really depends on what you need and how you're going to build that certain champion. So Elhane is pretty much a damage dealer. She's one of the 4 starter champions, but what does she actually need? So what is her kit? But as you can see, she has no debuffs. So when we're looking on what kind of masteries we're going to build on her, we really don't need a support tree. So we have accuracy, you know, the typical accuracy route will come here. We'll get down to charged focus, and then we'll come down to swarm smitter. And then lore of steel is always good, helps you boost a little bit of stats. That's really the only benefit of coming to support if you have no debuffs. And then, of course, down here, we don't really need any of these because, again, you got nothing to land, so you don't need that extra % to land. And then you can go added accuracy and that sort of thing. So for Elhane, she really doesn't need support tree. So we can go with defense. Now, with defense here, we have 1 or 2 choices, either resistance or defense. Typically, you're going to go defense unless you're just really trying to stack resistance and find it as much in as many places as you can, which takes us down into one of these 3 options. If you get slept or feared, then you're actually receiving 10% less damage. This works good on, you know, torment teams in arena, or any kind of team that is going to fear or sleep you. You'll take less damage. Otherwise, increases the amount of healing and shield you receive by 5%. So if you're going to pair this champion with a healer or somebody who puts out shield, you get 5% more of it. Is a good skill to have. Otherwise, we decrease damage by any AoE, which is pretty much standard. Then we come down to heals if the enemy is healed. Can work if you're fighting a lot of healers. But again, it's only 6% of your max HP. This is a damage dealing champion, typically doesn't have as much HP, so the skill is a little good, but not that great. This one you pretty much is a guarantee resurgence, 50% chance of removing a debuff when they lose 25% or more from a single hit. So again, you know, you put decreased defense and weaken out, they nuke you for 50-60% of your health. You have a chance, 50% chance of removing one of those debuffs. So your next hit hopefully isn't as hard. That's pretty much a guarantee. And then, of course, delay death is also a guarantee, because we're stacking up to 6% reduction of damage when you take hits from the same champion. Works great for bosses and that sort of thing. On the offense is pretty standard. You almost always want to go with crit rate, unless you're going to plan to stick a 6-star 60% crit rate glove on them. You may not need that crit rate, and you just go straight with attack just to get a little bit more attack, but for the most part you're going to go with crit rate. If you're going to go with Grim Resolve on clan boss teams and that sort of thing, you have to go crit rate to get it. Otherwise, if you're going to face somebody that's always going to have a shield on, you may want Shield Breaker as your first skill, or Heart of Glory, which is attacking when you're at full health. So you really need to figure out, what are you using the champion for? What are you going to encounter the most? A lot of champions in dungeon content don't start with a shield. They may get one later on, but they don't necessarily start with a shield. But you got to think Ruthless Ambush is a good skill to have, because your first hit on them, you're doing 8% more damage. If you're able to stay alive, though, Heart of Glory would be better, because you're doing 3% less damage on the first hit, but 5% more damage on every subsequent hit. So that is something to consider as long as you're full health. Okay. Life Drinker is only really good if you plan to, be low health and then try to get some of that HP back. Otherwise, we're going to go with Ruthless Ambush. And if you can, single out again. If you're going to hit them first, single out doesn't matter. But if you're going to hit them second or third after some damage is already done, single out is actually better. So you may actually want to go both. So to get Ruthless Ambush and single out, you're going to have to go with something like a Shield Breaker. So you can kind of split your tiers and kind of go both ways. And then as we skip through, just take a read through what the skills actually do, and do you really need it, and how is this champion going to be paired with other champions. So for me, I know that this champion's going to get the first hit out. However, I also know that they don't have any shields on for the round. But I do know that she's going to get hit pretty hard on the second wave if we don't kill everyone. So I may want the Life Drinker just to get some of that health back. And that's what I'm going to do. And then here, for the most part, if you can exceed 30% of their max HP with the nuke, meaning you're going to one-shot them and hit them real hard, you have that 30% chance to reduce that cooldown. But for the most part, you may want Wrath of Slain or take something on the defense or support tree, depending on what you need. Other champions to consider. I'm going to build him. Is someone like a Broadlord. So what is he doing on the team? So A1 is able to place a provoke at a 50% chance of placing the provoke. And so attacks 2 times. If they are under decreased speed, you have a 50% chance at placing a provoke. So we got to land decreased speed somehow. Then he has an ally protect and a shield. And then he has a stun, all enemies stun. Again, it goes up to 85% chance of placing that stun if they're under decreased speed. Passive, whenever this champ is attacked or anyone under ally protect are attacked, has a 30-45% chance of placing decreased speed on the attacker. So he does have a chance of placing a decreased speed, which boosts up these skills. However, when we're looking at Masteries, really it's the decreased speed is the only accuracy. Actually, all of them need accuracy. But when we get down to here, increased chance by 5%, but does not do stun and provoke. So those are the 2 main skills that he lands. So Sniper in this case would only help for the slow. As well, same thing, extended duration, but not for stun or provoke. So again, Master Hexer would only work to extend that slow. And so if we're going to go the defense route, then we're only really focusing on that slow. In saying that, when we get down to here, Fearsome Presence increases the chance of placing stun or provoke by 5%. So we're already at 85% on those skills. Fearsome Presence will bring that up to 90, which is a little bit better and will help us. So on a champion like Broadlord, who's going to be taking a lot of damage, we do want a lot of damage resistance, as well as his main goal is to land a lot of debuffs, which is why we're going to go support and ignore the offense tree. Although he could do some damage because he does have some AoE attacks, an AoE attack. He's more so there to support the team. So when you're looking at a champion, you got to figure out what are they there for, how are they going to be used, and we go from there. So Eurogrim is another example. Okay, so I decided to go Eurogrim with a route kind of like this, which is very interesting. So he is not a damage dealer by no means, right? So he's also low HP quite a bit of the time. So I ended up going with skills that are going to boost his speed to make him that much faster, to make him a viable solo champion. So I went with Whirlwind of Death here because each enemy he kills, and he puts out a lot of poisons, he's going to get up to 18 speed on top of his current speed. Okay, and then of course he's going to, more people he kills, he's going to get more damage. More damage, more dead allies. So again, you want Wrath of Slain if you're going to have a viable soloer. He also heals. Okay, so Eurogrim does heal, so that's why I went with Exalted Death instead of anything over here in offense, because he doesn't cast the shield, he does heal. So heals this champ by 10% each time they heal. I could have gone with Lay on Hands, but I did want the accuracy here just to give Eurogrim more accuracy. I decided to go with Arcane Celerity because he's got an increased turn meter whenever debuffs are removed, and he puts out 3 debuffs, up to 4 debuffs, I should say, per round. So he could get a lot of debuffs out, which means you're constantly pushing that turn meter up. Cycle of Magic to get some skills back. Again, more speed when you have dead allies. So between this 24 here and 18 here, 52 additional speed that you put on the champion just by killing your whole team. Pretty sweet. And then, of course, I went with Oppressor here, which turns the fill meter for every active debuff cast by this champion up to 10%. So I get, the A3's pushing out 2 debuffs, so we're automatically getting 5%. A1's pushing out 2 debuffs, we're getting another 5%, and we're constantly increasing that turn meter by the champion. So another option here is you can increase by 20% whenever a hero drops below 25%. Heal them up, then they get decreased again. So another good option to increase turn meters. On some of your champions, so I've redone her for Arena, right? She puts out a nice beefy shield, so I went with some shielding buffs here, but again, I want her to get a lot faster when my team dies so that she can revive the team and come back and we can still be in the fight. And then I got some resistance on her as well, more turn meter when anyone gets hit by a crit, which is probably going to kill them, so that I can get her turn meter pushed and she goes ahead of everyone else, stays alive as best as she can, and then she's able to revive everyone because she's super fast and got a lot of turn meter. And that's how you kind of have to think of what is your champion for? How can we use them? In dungeon content, my team never dies with Blind Seer around. So a build like this wouldn't necessarily matter. But I did build her for Arena. So I got some decently high resist. Could have get a little more. Some defense and a ton of HP. So she's able to take a beating and stay alive as best as you can. I also got some reaction accessory for that 25% chance to turn that crit into a normal hit on their first nuke, keep me alive, and then I'm able to pick up the rest of the team. So when you're thinking of masteries, you just got to think of what are they for? Why are they part of my team? What do I need them for? And then what skills will benefit that the most? Gerptuk. He's only really ever used to put out that poisons on ourselves to increase our damage. That's really what he's there for. But I built him because of Hydra, and I want him to land his decrease or his block buffs debuff, and therefore I went with the increased accuracy to make sure it lands. Master Hexer and Sniper to again make sure it lands, given that extra %. And then I went defense just to help him stay alive. He doesn't do much damage, so I more so went with masteries like this. Now he does put out some heals, so you could go with some healing supports, but I found the accuracy much more beneficial for this skill of block buffs, especially since I don't have them booked. Eventually I will book them to 100%, but until I get spare books, I don't have these skills booked. He does work well the way he is, unbooked. So there you have it. Just a showcase on what kind of champions need what kind of masteries. And you just, critically look at, Leorius takes a beating. I showcased him in my previous video. So he will always be low HP. So let's get the added damage plus that. Works out really well. I don't care for him to heal up on the nuke. And then we want some kind of accuracy here to land his skills. Again, I could have gone with Master Hexer instead, but it is what it is. So there you have it. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps you kind of start to understand what masteries, what champions need. Just take a critical look at what are they there for, what are they used for, and, is Sifi a damage dealer? No. Is she going to benefit from offensive skills? No, not really. So why go there? She has a lot of debuffs, or she has her sleep that she puts out. It's not affected by Sniper or Master Hexer. But again, if people are dying, I want her to speed up, which is why I went a route like this. She does heal, although little. She does do some healing, so get some HP, get some healing out. She does put out a lot of buffs, boost her turn meter, get that added speed and resistance and things like that. And then defense is mainly where I want her because of the resistance and the decreased damage. So there you have it. Again, I went with the 10 resistance over the defense, so I lose out on that AoE damage. But, I reduce more damage by anytime this champion receives a crit hit. So that is better than just AoE damage by 5%. So just an idea of how to build somebody. I've built champions and had to undo them because I was like, why did I do that? I've had to build other champions and I'm just like, you know what? It's fine the way it is. I'm not paying 150 gems to redo it. So take that look at the beginning, figure out, is that what we really want? Is that what you really need? And then go from there, okay? So there you have it. Hopefully that helps. And we'll catch you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.